It is about that time. Legion Champion is now coming to GMS after the game is back up in however long it could take, but surely there's no extension, right? So I figure I'll give you guys a quick rundown of how the system works. I know this video wasn't necessarily going to be for everybody because Legion Champion is ideally for late/in-game players and be a little bit into the mid-game, because even the bare minimum requirement for Legion Champion, the two bare minimum requirements, is you need to have 8k Legion and a level 260 plus character to even be able to start it. This is a system where you designate some of your characters as champions, and then they go and do missions, and then as they do these missions, you will get extra stats for only your champions. Currently, when the system is released, you will be able to designate 3 characters as champions, but as time will go on, there will be expansions, like there is one for Korea in September, where we will get more slots and it will be up to a total of 6 slots. Whenever you meet the bare minimum requirements, you want to talk to Miss Account over here and then show off a quest, and then you can go ahead and get started. So once you unlock Legion Champion, you will only have 2 slots, and the 3rd slot will be unlocked whenever you get both designated characters to rank A or higher. When you put a character on the board, it starts off at rank C without having any of the boss missions cleared, and then as you clear the boss missions, its rank will go up. So it goes from C to B to A to S to double S and then triple S at the very end. If you want to remove and replace a champion, you need to be prepared to spend a 1 billion meso fee. And then after you replace that champion, you will have to do all the missions in that slot all over again. In order to start the boss missions, you need to talk to Sir Hamzat over here, and he will give you 5 different missions based off of rank you're trying to get to. So the missions are, so for rank B, you want to do Hard Lotus in under 20 minutes to rank up from C to B. And as a reward, you will get plus 20 all stats for all your champions. For rank A, you need to do Hard Varicilla in under 20 minutes. As a reward, all your champions will receive 10 attack. Rank S is Black Mage within 45 minutes. If you clear this, you get 5% boss damage for all your champions. And then double S is clear Hard Saren in 20 minutes, which you will get 3% critical damage for all your champions. And then finally, for triple S, you need to do a 20-minute normal Kalos, and you will earn 5% IED for all your champions. I would like to say that this IED line is additive as you get it across all champions, so if you do normal Kalos on 3 characters, that's just one single source of 15 IED. So as the system is out and you do all of the missions, the max amount of stats you could have for your 3 champions passively is 60 all stat, which I believe is also paired with 3000 HP and MP for the DAs, 30 attack, 15% boss damage, 9% crit damage, and 15% IED. The characters you have registered as a champion will have the Champion Blessing buff in your beginner tab, and you get to use a buff that requires these champion coins down here, and I will talk about how to get champion coins in a bit. But there are different tiers of like what buffs you have and what they give. So the first one is all stat and HP, which goes from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and the cost just goes up every single time, and it goes up even more per level that you get. So from 50 to 125 to 200 to 300, and then the last level goes from 300 to 500. So it's a pretty big jump between like those levels there. Attack, you just get 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Up for another 500 for that. You can even see the total cost of how much how many coins you need to spend to use the buff, which the buff also lasts for 30 minutes. Boss damage goes up to 10%, so 2 per level. IED goes up to 10%, which is 2 per level, and then crit damage goes up to 2.5, which is 0.5 for a level. Now, the amount of damage overall this buff gives when it's fully maxed out depends on, you know, what your character specs are, but generally speaking, I want to say that this buff is roughly about 3% final damage. And there's also an EXP portion, which costs triple the amount of coins for up to 25% EXP. So I guess, you know, if you really just don't care about the bossing buff and want to use this, so be it, but I never see myself using the EXP at all. So you get your coins by going into the Dragon Raid, which is going to be this purple button in the UI right here. You'll be transported to the raid. And then as you want to enter the raid, after this loads in for a little bit. As you enter the raid, it will show your champions, the 3 that you have that you want to use, and then you go in, and then that's when you have like a prep room. You want to get all your characters' passives ready, toggles ready, and all that stuff. So basically in here, you just turn on all the toggles for all your characters, and then you can even swap to other characters. You press tab, and then you press number 2 or 3 depending on where that character is at, or even, you know, number 1 for your main character. You pop all your toggles, and then you go on to the other character, pop the toggles on that, which I don't think this guy has any toggles, and then you just go back to the main, and then you get things started. My personal tip for the Dragon Raid for all your champions is that I strongly recommend your champions to have level 1 Soul Janus. This will help you more than you know, because a big chunk of the Dragon Raid is going to be for mobbing. It's going to be mobbing until you time out, or until all the mobs disappear, and then a boss will spawn. In the Dragon Raid, you have 3 minutes to play each champion, so there are 9 minutes of total gameplay. However, the time that you have spent on there will pause whenever all the mobs stop spawning. And then there's also this little gauge here that shows 500. As long as you have any bit of this gauge, these characters will have 25% increased final damage. The gauge will go down on the character you were actively playing, and it will go up on the characters that you are not playing. The champion raid consists of a total of 6 stages. I would say right now with my character's current funding, and yes, you know, the amount of damage they do genuinely matters, I can like barely clear up to stage 4. And you know, it's also just due to the amount of time that I spend in the raid itself. If I get more champions in future patches, I'll be able to spend more time in the raid, therefore I can reach higher stages. But also, a little personal tip from me, you want to save your most powerful character for the boss. I think that is the most important thing. Bosses start off relatively weak on the first stage, but then they get tankier and tankier and tankier, and I say by like stage 4, the boss monsters are actually quite tanky. So every stage will have 10 segments. There are 5 hunting segments and 5 bossing segments. If you want to know where the bosses are for each stage whenever they spawn, their placements are usually left, middle, right, left, middle. So while the monsters are down, and then you know why like the time doesn't tick down, you can get yourself situated right next to a boss spawn, and you know, put all summons there if you have to put summons there, and just do what you got to do right before it spawns, and the timer starts ticking again. So I just killed a boss on the left, so I'm expecting this boss to summon here in the middle, which will happen right about now. There we go. And then I just do that, and then we go back to hunting. Starting stage 3, you'll see some of these like really bad hazards spawn to the map. There are hazards all over the preview, well, not really all over, but they are in the previous stages as well. And you can see on the mini map, it's like where that like little fire is towards the bottom. Whenever you reach 5 stacks of a hazard, you'll have a really powerful debuff appear on your character. And there's like these fruits like that, like the tree that was right next to my character right there. There are these fruits that you can eat on the map to cleanse yourself from the debuffs. And also, as you run out of time on a character, you could go out with like a bang in quotations by using like either your origin skill or just any of your ultimate skills or whatever. A little bit before you just completely lose access to that character for the rest of the raid. But stage 4, you can kind of gauge that for yourself. But stage 4 is when I want to start going more like all out on my mules in the raid and stuff, because they're about to be gone. So I gotta do the most with them, or at least the most that I can. And then this ends my raid, 43.3k, which is actually my highest score. Just because I'm looking more like what you need to know about the raid to get a bit of a better score. So yeah, the way to go is for hunting, you swap between your 2 like sub mains, your other champions while you hunt, because you want to let those like raid power buffs charge and stuff, because that's what I did for the first time of that raid, and that like 25 FD that you get from having that bond gauge is actually really impactful. And then for the bosses, of course, you just want to use your best character, whether that's a 25 FD or not. It's probably going to be way stronger than like any of your mules. So the Dragon Raid ends, you get your coins, and you can run Dragon Raid as many times as you want throughout the month, and it will just register like your best score as how many coins you will end up having. So from that, I gained about 6.6k coins because my best score beforehand was like 36k. GMS players, it's up to y'all whether y'all want to do the Dragon Raid for the month or not, if you think you can get through the coins, just because monthly reset is in about like 4 days. But just like, you know, a heads up, you will lose all those coins on monthly reset when you do run that dragon raid. So I'm just letting y'all know. And I think that's really all there is to explain about Legion Champion and the dragon raid for the time being. Again, dragon raid tips, you want to make sure you get Janus on all your characters. I could have done better on mules because I feel like I put Fountain down on none of my characters. Not even, I mean, the main wasn't even hitting any mobs. The main was just purely bossing, but I feel like I did not put Fountain down on any of my characters. My Len had the bossing toggle on for its summon and not the mobbing one, so that could have been way better as well. And, you know, things could have been technically better, but I'm still very satisfied with the score that I did just pull. But alright, just a quick little video over Legion Champion. Very sorry for the absence. Again, Baldrix Guide next week, and that's what I have for the gist of everything as everything goes. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace, peace.